I was about 4 or 5 years old, and my parents had just separated. My mom was living in a 2 bedroom apartment. I had my own room, but I preferred to sleep in her bed whenever I was staying with her. Our 2 bedrooms were at the end of a hallway, directly across from each other. Our apartment was on the first floor, and I remember that it was in the middle of the summer, and my mom had a window open in her room, which was directly behind the bed, above the headboard. Anyways, I woke up in the middle of the night and remember sitting up and seeing that our cat was sitting in the doorframe of my mom's room. Her door was open and you could partially see into my bedroom. This was strange because our cat was typically always in bed with us. As I was watching him, he walked into my bedroom and meowed. I turned to face my mom and wake her up. In the 3 to 4 seconds it took her to wake up and ask me what was wrong, we both looked back up in the doorframe, and there was a man standing by my open door, making his way out of my bedroom. I still don't know how she managed to do it so quickly, but my mother proceeded to pick me up and literally throw me out of the screen window. Again, we were on the first floor, and it was maybe a 3 foot drop to the ground. She quickly followed, and we were able to start screaming for help, and someone called 911. The police came, but didn't see any signs of forced entry, only that our front door was unlocked, which led them to believe the man must have exited that way. The strange thing was that my mom swore up and down that she had locked the door that night, with the deadbolt and the chain lock. About a week later, she was cleaning the kitchen and opened up our water heater closet, and inside she found a notebook with names and drawings, as well as a pair of gloves and some gum wrappers. We called the police again, but all they could do was speculate that the man had been in our house and hid until we were asleep. A terrifying but true story I experienced when I was 12. I moved to my dad's when I was 10 and didn't know anyone in the area except for the family my dad was friends with. Single mom with 3 kids. And luckily, there was a girl a couple years older than me. I was 12 at the time I met her, and we got to know each other a little over a couple years. We weren't exactly close, but we ended up having the same friends. One night, my friend Rob was hanging out with her and her younger brother. They happened to be in the house alone because my friend's mom was at work, which is where this gets terrifying and sad. Her mother had been helping this one lady through her work and got to know her fairly well. She found out her sister was in a mental institution and was let out recently. The night Rob is hanging out with my friend, they get a knock on the door. My friend thought it was just their mom. She knocks a certain way when coming in, and she answered it without thinking. Rob wasn't supposed to be there, and he took off through the window to his house down the road. He never thought twice about it. When she opened her door, it wasn't her mom. It was the sister of the lady her mom was helping, and she figured out through talking to her sister where her family lived and her mom's working schedule. She came in, and this is where I don't know the details, and I'm glad I don't. My friend's younger brother got away to the neighbors to call the police. The lady that went into the house brutally murdered my friend a week from Christmas. She decapitated her and left her body naked in a bathtub. She hid her head. They had to look through the presents, and I don't know where they found it, but they did find it. I wasn't allowed to go to her funeral. This is the late 80s/early 90s. I was around 7 years old. I'm at home with my sister, who's 14 to 15 at the time. We grew up in a small Texas town. Everyone knows everybody, that kind of thing. This particular night, we're home alone, and my folks let my sister babysit me frequently. We always got along due to our age gap. Anyways, it's about 8 p.m. in the winter, so it is dark, and we are in the common room since that's where the TV was, watching 60 Minutes or 48 Hours or Hard Copy or some shit. This one was a typical story. Guy next door that was quiet went on a rampage in his next door neighbor's house, mutilating them and kidnapping their young daughter. Well, the thing about our common room is that the door leading to the backyard was a large glass door, nothing but blackness beyond it unless you have the back light on. We did not. The front door is on the other side of the room, with a small entryway. This is a solid door, so you cannot see what is beyond it. And there's a glass storm door on the outside of it. About 45 minutes into the show, they are talking about the ongoing manhunt for this crazy guy, and we hear bangs on the front door. We jump the fuck up and scream like banshees. It's dead silent now. The only lights on in the house are the kitchen down the hall from the common room we were in and the light from the TV. We started thinking something on the porch had simply blown against the door. This was West Texas. There's crazy strong winds out that way. Well, a minute or two of silence and us holding each other post-adrenaline overdose passes. Just when we're about to declare everything is safe, we hear the storm door on the outside of our front door close. Fuck. Someone had to have opened the door to be able to bang on the front door like that. We are both frozen in the middle of the room on the floor where we had been watching TV. My sister crawls over to the TV and turns it off. It was an old TV, so you had to turn that metal dial to switch it off, which it does with a mildly loud thunk. Now it's just us, in a room that's dimly lit by the kitchen light down the hall. I don't remember how much time passed being frozen and my sister still crouched by the now off TV, but we kept making eye contact, then looking at the front door. I remember this part vividly. I'm on my knees, sitting on my feet, and I turn around to look at the back wall of windows and glass door. We hear, and I see, the back door knob turn. It was locked on the knob itself, but not deadbolted. It rattled slightly, as if somebody is gently trying the handle. Neither of us made a sound. We just held our breath. Then bang, 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 bang. Loud as hell. Someone is trying to force the door open, just jerking it back and forth. The whole wall of windows is vibrating violently, and I can see with each jerk of the door how my slight reflection gets fuzzy, then clear, then fuzzy. My sister flips her shit and screams bloody murder. I'm still frozen on the floor, mind you. She gets up and basically drags me into her bedroom, slams the door, throws her mattress and anything she can in front of her door. Thankfully, she had remembered the phone, one of those ungodly heavy beige plastic metal long antenna portable phones. We had to direct dial the sheriff there, and in her panic didn't remember the number. She just hit redial on the phone. It was one of her friends that picked up, and she tells them in broken gas that someone is trying to get into our house and needs to get there right fucking now. The profanity sticks out here more than anything else. Young brain, you know the deal. I'm curled up on the floor and cannot stop shaking. We don't hear anything else until we see the headlights of my sister's friend and her parents driving up to the house. We never did find out who was at the door or why. There were no signs of anything happening, but a couple of scuff marks on the bottom of the back door that we could not remember if they were there before or not. Nothing like that has happened to me or her since, but we damn sure never forgot to lock a door after that. My mother-in-law was a very funny and cool woman. She and my wife were really close, and sadly, she passed away when our son was about 4 months old. Flash forward a few years, and we live in an old 1930s era craftsman house in Pasadena, California. Our son is about 3 at the time. One night, I was giving him a bath, and he starts looking over my shoulder. Not at random stuff, but at something. A moment passes, and he asks me why Grandma calls Mommy a funny name. There's a long pause. I asked him what he meant, thinking he was talking about my mom. He then says, why does Grandma call Mommy blank, my mother-in-law's nickname for my wife? I was really set back by this. My wife and I never used this nickname. It was just what her mom called her since she was a baby. I asked him where he heard that. His response was, the farmer told me. I asked him who the farmer was, and he replied, his friend. I tell my wife this story later, and she, of course, reduced to tears over the whole nickname thing. We both knew that there's no way for him to know this, and we kind of just marvel at it. Flash forward the next weekend, and my son is playing in his room. My wife is at work, and I'm at home. I hear him start talking like he's having a conversation. He's saying things like yes, no, I don't know that, then laughing. I go into his room and ask him what he's doing, and he says playing. I ask with who, and he says the farmer. At this point, I'm already thinking about the fucking Exorcist movie and Captain Howdy. It's a little unsettling, but I carry on. I ask him where the farmer is. He says he left when I came in. What the fuck? So my wife gets home, and I tell her this, and now she's just as weirded out as I am. We have no idea what to do, and figure if it happens again, we'll do something. A few days later, in the middle of the night, we both overhear our son saying the following. Grandma says, you and I can't be friends anymore. Wife and I go check on him, both of us a little freaked out at this point. He's just sitting up in bed. I ask him if he's okay, and he says, yeah. Grandma says I can't play with the farmer anymore. He never once mentioned the farmer again, not ever. He's 13 now and doesn't remember any of it. We do, though.